From the very beginning, he had been trained to be quiet, not because he lacked anything to say, but because he was taught implicitly and repeatedly that his voice was dangerous. In the home where he grew up, silence was the rule, and emotions were a liability. Crying was weakness. Anger was rebellion. Asking for too much was selfish. So, without knowing how or why, he learned to fold himself inward. He listened more than he spoke. He adapted to please. He became the version of himself that wouldn't upset the balance, predictable, agreeable, invisible. And the world praised him for it. They said he was polite, well-behaved, easy to be around. But deep inside, where the voices were no longer muffled, something else was growing. A storm of unspoken words, unmet needs, and a desperate ache to be seen. As he grew older, the silence evolved. It wore different masks. At work, it looked like dependability. In relationships, it looked like compromise. But underneath, it was exhaustion. He said yes when he meant no. He smiled when he was drowning inside. He became the helper, the fixer, the one who never asked for anything but gave everything. The irony was cruel. His silence made everyone else comfortable, yet left him completely alone. He didn't know how to express his needs without guilt. Every time he tried, the voice inside whispered, "Don't be dramatic. Don't make a scene. They'll leave." And so he stayed quiet, even when he was hurt, even when he was breaking. But the silence wasn't empty. It carried memories, moments when he was punished for expressing pain, times when vulnerability was met with shame. He remembered crying once as a boy and how quickly he was told to toughen up. How those words didn't stop the tears, but taught him to hide them. He remembered speaking up at the dinner table, only to be told he was too much. And so he learned over and over that being himself was dangerous, that honesty had consequences, that being visible came with a cost. Eventually, he reached a breaking point. It didn't happen all at once. It came slowly in waves. Sleepless nights, a hollow feeling in his chest, the realization that he couldn't remember the last time he felt joy without guilt. And one night, alone with his thoughts, it happened. A truth slipped from his lips so quietly, yet it cracked through the silence like thunder. "I'm not okay." That confession was the first time in years he had spoken without censoring himself. It wasn't a cry for help. It was a declaration of truth. And in that moment, something shifted. He began to unlearn the silence. Not with grand speeches or confrontations, but with small acts of rebellion. Saying no without explaining. Letting himself cry without shame. Journaling what he truly felt, not what he thought he was supposed to feel. He read books that spoke his pain. He watched others tell stories that mirrored his own. He realized he wasn't alone, and that silence was never peace. It was protection. Necessary once, perhaps, but no longer. It was time to stop hiding. Healing didn't make him louder. It made him truer. He didn't need to shout to reclaim his voice. He just needed to stop apologizing for having one. He began to honor his inner child, the one who was told to shut up, to sit down, to disappear. He let that child speak. Cry. Rage. Breathe. He created space for all of it. And with each truth spoken, the chains grew lighter. The mask cracked further. The voice that had once been buried under decades of fear began to rise. Now, when he looks back, he sees the silence for what it was, a survival tactic. A brilliant adaptation to a hostile world, but not a life sentence. And now he speaks, not to be loud, not to be heard by everyone, but to finally hear himself. Every time he tells the truth, even just to himself, he reclaims a piece of his soul. He is no longer the boy who had to be quiet to be loved. He is the man who knows his voice is sacred. And in this new chapter, he lives not in silence, but in soul. The soul that comes after silence. The soul that finally sings.